Hey, what's up, everybody? Today we're going to be doing the Moonshiner Guide. Everything you need to know about the Moonshiner Role, how to make money, and how to level up fast, and how to not waste time, most importantly. Now, other rules, like the Bounty Hunter, for example, and the Naturalist, are more active rules where you've got to kind of participate minute by minute. And the Trader Role and also Moonshiner, in particular, are more passive roles where you can kind of do something, sit back for a little while, and kind of just chill and make money passively. So we'll get right into how to do that. So the Moonshiner role is very similar in terms to GTA businesses such as the bunker or any of the MC warehouses. So in that you go out, collect supplies, and then simply wait until all the supplies are produced, and then you go sell it for a profit. Now, Red Dead has its own little spin on that with ingredients along with mash that you need to buy, and we'll hop into what all that means. It's not that much more complicated, but it is a very good source of revenue. So, mash is one of the terms I just threw around. So, mash you can think of as basically raw supplies. So you'll just buy it when you go down to meet Marcel, who's a little French guy that's in your basement. Take that how you will. And he's basically going to turn that into unflavored moonshine. Um, you can add flavors to improve the price and quality of your moonshine. You'll have certain buyers that will buy certain types. For example, there's appleberry crumb. So you could make appleberry crumb and you could sell it to either an appleberry crumb buyer, or there's always going to be an all flavors buyer, except they obviously will buy it for less. Keep in mind, to sell to this buyer, you don't have to flavor it. You could sell it unflavored moonshine, but it'll be much less of a profit. Now, secondly and optionally, you have your flavoring, which I just went over. So there will be three tiers of flavors, just 1 star, 2 star, and 3 star. Now, obviously, 3 star sells for the most, 1 star sells for the least. You want to go for 2 star as much as possible because it's kind of an in between. Obviously, a 1 star will take less and not quite as rare materials, whereas 3 star can even take collectible alcohol items. Like one was like Caribbean rum, for example. And if you're a collector, you're not going to want to be just throwing these away for an extra $20 on your batch. So try to stick with the 2 star because it'll be the most profitable. Now, a lot of these ingredients that you can have to make the flavoring will just be everyday plants or fruits or something like that you'll find. A lot of it's like ginseng or currant, which you can just find out in the world. There's evergreen huckleberry, and there's all sorts of things. There's also fruits such as like apples or canned peaches or pears. So just be on the lookout for those. And if you're out and about shooting people like you casually do, try to avoid eating those types of items to save them for your moonshine batch. So how do we actually make the moonshine? So it's pretty simple. Once you have your moonshine track and everything like that, and if you need help with that, leave a comment down below. I'd be happy to help, but there's thousands of Reddit articles and YouTube videos on how to do that, so I'm not going to really cover that. But if you need help, either just look it up or put something in the comments and I'll help you out. So once you first enter your moonshine shack, you can go downstairs and you will see a little French dude in your basement, and he'll kind of there'll be a table nearby him. So you're going to want to approach the table and hold Y or triangle or whatever your interaction button is, and there will be three separate kind of categories that you can see, and we'll go through what each of those mean. So the three categories you'll see should be labeled moonshine still, flavoring, and moonshine. So to clear out the clutter, kind of, the very bottom is your finished product. It should say 0 out of 20 bottles because you haven't created anything yet. Um, as soon as you eventually create all of your moonshine, you'll just be able to click in there and select a buyer and then listen to an overly long dialogue from a French man named Marcel, who's your cook. Um, Very simple area. Don't got to worry about that too much. Now, the more complicated one is the flavoring tab, and this is where you'll go in and you'll be able to select the different flavors and the different qualities that I mentioned before. Um, Essentially, you'll just want to find the one that gives you the best bang for your buck, but make sure that it's 2 out of the 3 stars or less, or just 1 star. You don't want 3 stars because they're most likely going to take up collectible items, which are much more valuable. You could almost sell a collectible item alone for as much as you're going to make for your first few batches, so it's really not worth the hassle. Just stick to 2 or 1 star batches for now. Lastly, on the top, you've got the moonshine still. So you're just going to enter there. This is the very first step you're going to take. You're just going to enter and buy a weak moonshine. Eventually, you'll be able to get average and strong moonshine, even though you might want to skip average, and we'll get onto that in a minute. But just buy your moonshine right now. At the bottom, you should see mash price. As we talked about earlier, mash is just raw ingredients or raw supplies. And we'll talk about how you can lower this price because it should be $60 or $50 right now. Um, we can talk about how to lower it all the way down to $10 right about now. So you can speak to Maggie, who's the old lady at the top of your house. Um, she can send you off on 2 different missions. So there's bootlegger missions, which will just be a quick free roam, go out, kill a certain amount of people, or go out, help a drunk dude walk. I don't understand how that helps you reduce mash cost, but hey, it reduces $10 every time you do it, so it's worth it. Actually, it might be $20 now. There was a lot of change that Rockstar had, and they kind of swapped back and forth between 10 and 20, and still it isn't really stable. It might do 10, it might do 20 sometimes. But anyways, it'll reduce the price a little bit. And then secondly, you've got actual Moonshiner story missions, which are kind of a whole separate storyline. It's actually pretty fun. I enjoyed it, but they're much longer, and I'm pretty sure they're instance area, which means no other players can see you or harm you, but you also won't be producing any moonshine or trader or anything else until you complete the mission. These are very story driven, and it's kind of a lot more like story mode where there's actual things you're doing. You're not just going and shooting people. For example, there's one where you're on a boat and you're also shooting people while the boat's moving, but I won't get into that to avoid spoilers. So for the most efficiency, you'll just want to do one bootlegger mission before you start cooking, and then start cooking. Because the bootlegger mission should take you 10 minutes if you're playing with your feet. Like, they're all super easy, no matter what one you've got, and they're super quick to do. Reduce $10 to $20 depending on how lucky you are, and you can go make your mash and then be on your way. You don't really have to worry about doing more than one bootlegger mission. Now, both the story missions and bootlegger missions, you can do one of each, which will lower from $20 to $40, depending on how lucky you are. But there is, I believe, a 30-minute cooldown on the missions, where if you do one, you can't do this exact same one for another 30 minutes, and they last for 48 minutes. And by lasting, I mean their price reductions last. So let's say your match is at $50, you do a bootlegger mission, it's now $40 or $30. If you wait for a half hour, you'll still have that bonus. However, if you wait for an hour, the bonus will have gone away because it's 48 minutes afterwards. So basically, your chain of events will be go into your shack, do a bootlegger mission, and then immediately start cooking a batch. And then basically, once you start cooking a batch, you won't have to really do anything else. You can leave. You can go do bounty hunter missions. You can do pretty much anything you want. The batch will cook all on its own. You don't need to resupply or anything, which is very, very nice. The only one thing you will have to do is hop into that second tab, the flavoring tab, if you want, and choose a flavor, which I recommend, but you don't have to. Your first few batches, you're really only going to be making anywhere from no profit to $60, depending on what your mash cost and what you're selling for. Um, so just kind of keep the price of the flavoring down to a minimum for now. Later on, we can talk about more expensive options. Okay, so you've made your moonshine. You just sat and you stared at Marcel for a half hour, and maybe you were productive and you went fishing out somewhere, or you went hunting, or something, and now your batch is done. You should get a notification on your screen that looks like this, and basically that means exactly what it looks like. Go to your moonshine shack and you can sell. So once you approach the table with Marcel, you're going to go back to that bottom little category there, and now it should be unlocked. It should say 20 out of 20 bottles. So you'll go into the category, and you should see a list of buyers. So only a few buyers should have white names, and those are the ones you can sell to. You're basically going to want to pick the one with the highest um, cost because you want to get paid the most, obviously. So you're going to hold A, and then now you're going to have to sit through a dialogue which can last anywhere from 15 seconds to literally about 2 minutes. You can't skip it, which is wonderful, and it's a great play on Rockstar's move. Um, that's sarcasm, in case you couldn't tell. God damn it, Rockstar! Anyways, once you're done with the dialogue, you'll be basically sat in this cart and told to deliver the moonshine to a certain location. Now, be careful because you can damage this moonshine cart, and it is quite fragile. Um, Accelerating too fast, slowing down too fast, and taking too sharp of turns will all harm it. Getting shot will harm it. Driving it off of cliffs will do a slight amount of damage, so try not to do that. So you can break bottles. You've got the 20 bottles, and you can break them, which will decrease your profits significantly. So I believe bottle 15 to 14, if 15 breaks, you lose a few dollars. But if your very first bottle breaks, you'll be losing almost half profits. I believe I get $155 if I deliver a $225 batch and one break. So it's it's $80 of reduction right there for breaking it. Now, a good way to circumvent this is to just simply take out a pistol or any weapon and aim not at anything, just aim at the ground or at the horses. Don't shoot them. And then hold A or X or whatever your go button is, and that will basically act as an auto drive system. It's not perfect, but it's probably a lot better than you can do. No offense. I use it all the time, and you can see it in the gameplay footage right now. I'm using it. It'll kind of steer you clear of trees and rocks and cliffs, but do be wary of other people. One is you might ram into them, and that'll cause a lot of damage. And two, you're still aiming a gun. They're going to be very angry if they see you, and you're walking up to them with a revolver pointed at their face or a double barrel shotgun. So just be careful of that. Now, the final roadblock in between you and getting your cash is revenue agents. So there will always be a revenue agent roadblock. However, there are three outcomes that you can have. So outcome number one is they will just let you off scot-free. They'll just say, we don't care right now, just get on, keep going. Option number two is they will check the wagon. They'll say, hold up, and there will be a little yellow area for you to stop in. Everything's okay, just stop there. They might say, we're looking for some contraband, just got to make sure you don't have any. If they say that, you're fine. Just let them inspect your wagon, and then once they tell you to go, go. However, the last option is where they will be like, we're looking for moonshine, and you are carrying moonshine. So you can let them start to inspect it, but they will attack you once the inspector realizes what you're carrying. So the best thing to do is to hop off of your wagon, kill everybody, and then just hop back on and keep going. The only reason you don't want to just kind of plow through them like a train is because there's a very high chance of them shooting at you and thus your wagon and taking a lot of damage. And I've probably lost 10 dozen bottles doing that until I realized, hey, that's probably not a good idea. Anyways, you should venture on into your location, and surely enough, you'll be getting your profits. So, congrats. You made your first sale. Now, there are a few upgrades that you can have to your Moonshine Shack once you've kind of made a lot more money. So, there's both a condenser and a polisher upgrade. So, to be honest, I don't recall which is which, but the more expensive one will give you obviously strong moonshine. And as far as I know, you do not need both of these upgrades to have strong. So, for example, you don't need the condenser and the polisher to have strong moonshine. You can just buy whichever one is happens to be the higher one. The other one is for average moonshine, which you can buy if you want, but I don't recommend it because it's kind of an in between and you're still only making iffy profits. There's much better ways to make money. The Moonshiner roll, like I mentioned before, is very profitable, but only when you're selling strong moonshine batches. So I don't recommend even really selling batches until you unlock the polisher, I believe, upgrade, and then unlock it, obviously. If you wish to buy both, though, go ahead, be my guest. Now, what I do advise you to not steer clear of, but just be aware of. So there's a bar upgrade and a band expansion, I believe. Um, Probably $1,700 in total. These are both cosmetic. They provide no benefit whatsoever to your business. They are not going to increase your profits. They're just going to drain you $1,700. Now, if you like that kind of atmosphere, that's wonderful. Go for it. But personally, I don't think it makes sense that you have this very isolated cabin that you make illegal moonshine in, and then you just also have a bar that all of these patrons are going to know the location to, but I digress. That wraps up our Moonshiner roll today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments as always. I'm very sorry about not uploading recently. We've run into a couple of issues with the channel and outside, lives that, believe it or not, we have. Um, but we should be back to our regular uploading schedule very, very soon. I ordered a microphone if you guys care. Um, so you don't have to listen to my ratty ass voice too much more. At least not as horrific as this audio pertains to be. But yeah, so I'm sorry, and we should be back soon. So fray not, my friends. Have a good day.